Good morning, student. Welcome to the fifth lecture of unit number 3. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss about ethical issues in digital forensic. So, as we know that ethics is concerned with the rights and wrong behavior and make us reflect on how a person should act in various situations where an ethical dilemma arises. So, often there are some pervasive arguments both for and against every course of action open to a person in each circumstance. So, among the other conduct, ethical behavior requires honesty, fairness, good reputation, consistency, goodwill, diligence, proficiency, and sense of immunity. Okay, so ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with the interrelationships of human to each other, animals, the environment, and all that exists in the universe. So it asks whether an action is good or bad, right or wrong, acceptable or unacceptable, virtuous or evil. So there are some case studies on ethical issues in digital forensic which presume unauthorized use of intellectual property. So it is also comes under ethics that you should not use some others intellectual property. So the recent case study exemplifies some of the problems that occur during examinations and provides some tips on avoiding certain pitfalls that occur. So the background to the case is that this was an industrial espionage case involving a member of staff who was suspected of stealing the intellectual property of the employer. Suspicion arose when the CCTV footage of the office detected the employee's presence at his workstation during out of office hours for 2-hour period, unusual activity for staff members. So scrutiny of the CCTV footage showed a partial view of what appeared to be the employee's laptop, on which could be observed the opening of files on the desktop. So the examination of company server confirmed the download of a number of files, which includes images, spreadsheets, and some text documents at the same time as the CCTV footage. So the server log also show synchronization between the server and the email account on the laptop. So we can summarize this case as it describes some problems of unsound digital evidence, the need of impartiality in undertaking forensic examination, and some common pitfalls that diminish the value of digital forensic through cursory and biased examination. After that, in computer forensic, there are some legal and ethical principles. So as we know that ethics comprises a set of rules to measure the performance of computer forensic examiners. In this particular subject, we are going to deal with the ethical and legal issues which are related to the digital forensic examination, or we can say that which is related to the digital forensic investigation examiner, not a personal individual. Okay, so ethics comprises a set of rules to measure the performance of computer forensic examiners. Various professions term as ethics as code of professional conduct or responsibility. It means that as we are talking about the ethical issues in digital forensic, that means here we are talking about the digital forensic examiners ethics. So When we talk about the examiner's ethics, then it comes under the conduct and responsibility of particular professional. So it is imperative for every computer forensic examiner to maintain the highest level of ethical behavior when conducting investigation. It means that it is compulsory for every forensic examiner to maintain the high level of ethical behavior during the investigation and during preparing reports and giving testimony. So the first point is that forensic analyst role in testifying. Now the first ethical issue which we are talking about the digital forensic examiner is that the role of analyst in testifying. So when the case proceeds to trial, the forensic analyst can play either of two roles to give testimony. The first role he will play is the expert witness, and the second role is that technical or scientific witness. So, in the law of evidence or in the digital forensic, there are two types of testimony, or an examiner can perform their role as expert witness, that means the third party opinion, expert opinion, or technical or scientific witness. It means that who comes as a witness in the technical or scientific background. So the first expert witness is that expert witness has an opinion about what he or she has observed or found. It means that during digital forensic examination, examiners two types of roles perform कर सकते हैं. First one is that expert witness and second one is that technical or scientific witness. Expert witness को ही third person opinion भी कहा जाता है. In the expert witness, digital forensic examiners अपना opinion देते हैं about what he or she has observed or found during examination. वो जो भी observe करते हैं और जो कुछ भी उनको found होता है उस related. So these opinions are formed from deductive reasoning and experience based on facts during an examination. So जो भी opinions उसमें से arise होते हैं वो based होते हैं उनके experience से और जो facts उनके सामने आते हैं during the digital forensic examination. So, as a matter of fact, one can be an expert witness on the basis of one's opinion. So, however, technical or scientific witness provides only the facts he or she has found in the examination. एक्सपर्ट विटनेस में जो ओपिनियंस आते हैं वो बेस्ड होते हैं एक्सपीरियंस पे एंड द फैक्ट्स फाउंड ड्यूरिंग एन एग्जामिनेशन. बट टेक्निकल और साइंटिफिक विटनेस में ओनली उन फैक्ट्स को अराइज किया जाता है जो ड्यूरिंग एग्जामिनेशन फाउंड होते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ड्यूरिंग एग्जामिनेशन किसी के कंप्यूटर सिस्टम पे कुछ लॉग फाइल्स फाउंड हुई है. ओके, दैट इज द टेक्निकल और साइंटिफिक ऑब्जर्वेशन. और कीबोर्ड पे किसी के फिंगरप्रिंट्स फाउंड होते हैं और उन फिंगरप्रिंट्स को इंटरप्रेट कैसे करना है, उसको उसमें से डेटा माइनिंग कैसे करना है, ये सारी टर्म्स आते हैं एक्सपर्ट विटनेस में. So any evidence that meets the standard. So in this type of proof, the court also wants to know how evidence was obtained. Now the second point is that expert witness. So as we discuss about the expert witness is also known as third person opinion, which is based on the experience and facts found during an examination. So the expert witness participate in more than 80% of trials involving computer forensic. So computer forensic में जितने भी trials होते हैं उसमें से 80% of trial में expert witness पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं और एक्सपर्ट विटनेस को बुलाया जाता है. So court acknowledge the vital importance of expert witness and are concerned about the ethics and challenge. So the court stated this challenge in the case Kenneth C.V. Delonda 2006. It is one of the landmark case in the digital forensic. The subject of expert witness, professionalism, and ethics is substantially undeveloped, and there are not many definitive statements about their ethical and legal observations. Now, the US Department of Justice. So due to the dramatic increase in computer-related crime, or we can say that due to the dramatic increase in cyber crimes, provide systematic guidance that can assist forensic examiners in collecting electronic evidences in criminal investigation. So there are two primary sources of these laws governing electronic evidence. The Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution and the statutory privacy law. Okay, so इलेक्ट्रॉनिक क्रिमिनल इन्वेस्टिगेशंस में इलेक्ट्रॉनिक एविडेंस कलेक्ट करने के लिए देयर आर टू प्राइमरी सोर्सेस होते हैं जो गवर्न करते हैं इलेक्ट्रॉनिक एविडेंस को. वो है फोर्थ अमेंडमेंट टू द यूनाइटेड स्टेट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, यूनाइटेड स्टेट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के अमेंडमेंट नंबर 4 and the statutory privacy law. So the core principle of United States Department of Justice regarding computer forensic include, so which are the principles of US Department regarding collecting electronic evidences in criminal investigation. वो हमको देखने हैं कि उनके principles क्या है regarding collecting electronic evidences in criminal investigation. So first is that the Fourth Amendment puts restriction on the warrantless seizure and search of computer. As we have discussed in the lecture first and second, ड्यूरिंग एग्जामिनेशन जो भी एविडेंसेस रहते हैं उनको सीज किया जाता है एंड सर्चिंग ऑफ कंप्यूटर्स. सो फोर्थ अमेंडमेंट रेस्ट्रिक्शंस पुट करता है कि विदाउट वारंट यू कैन नॉट सीज एनी डिजिटल एविडेंस एंड यू कैन नॉट सर्च कंप्यूटर. The next point is that the Protection Act 42 USC 2008 imposed limitation on the use of search warrant to examine computers. और अगर हमारे पास सर्च वारंट्स होते हैं टू एग्जामाइन द कंप्यूटर्स, देयर आर अगेन सम लिमिटेशंस इम्पोजेस on this. Okay, then Stored Communication Act 18 USC governs how examiners can acquire contents and account records from network service provider, including ISP, mobile device service provider, and telephone companies. Now, as per the Stored Communication Act, govern करते हैं कि how examiners can acquire contents and account records. Now, acquiring contents, account records, network service provider, internet service provider, network logs, computer log files. Now, mobile device service providers and telephone companies. This is the part of examination. Okay, so इसके लिए जो rules govern किए गए हैं वो गवर्न किए हैं बाय स्टोर्ड कम्युनिकेशन एक्ट से. देन द यूएस अटॉर्नीज ऑफिस appoints at least one assistant US attorney who acts as the computer hacking and intellectual property specialist, and these specialists receive proper training in computer related crimes and investigation. Okay, so US attorney office appoint करते हैं एक स्पेशलिस्ट पर्सन को जो कि स्पेशल एक्सपर्ट है कंप्यूटर हैकिंग में एंड हु इज आल्सो एक्सपर्ट ऑफ इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी एंड जिन्होंने स्पेशल ट्रेनिंग लिया हुआ रहता है इन कंप्यूटर रिलेटेड क्राइम्स एंड इन्वेस्टिगेशन. देन द ऑफिस ऑफ इंटरनेशनल अफेयर्स प्रोवाइड्स ट्रेनिंग इन कंप्यूटर एंड क्राइम and that raise international disputes. Okay, so the Office of International Affairs also provides training in computer crime examinations. Now the Office of Enforcement Operations provide expertise in wiretapping law. Now wiretapping is again comes under the examination. It is one of the part of examination. So Office of Enforcement Operation also provides expertise, also provides expert person in wiretapping laws also. Then the child exploitation and obscenity section spells out laws about computer-related crimes involving child pornography. In the United States, there is another ethical guide that includes some provisions regarding computer-related investigations, such as expert witness, expert opinion, and expert testimony that we had discussed already. Okay, so these are the some core principles of US departments. Along with this, there are also some organizations or some agencies that works under the digital forensic investigation. So the first one is that FBI, Computer Analysis and Response Team, in short, which is called as CART, that is CART, which was constituted in 1984 to deal with the increase in cases involving digital evidences. So this CART was constituted in 1984, specifically deal with the increase in cyber crimes. So for research and training, the CART works with the Department of Defense Computer Forensic Laboratory. The second organization is the International Organization for Standardization, in short, which is called as ISO, who sets standards for digital forensic and was ratified in 2012. Then the next is in the United States, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act was enacted in 1986 to help examiners to conduct effective investigation. So since there is no universally accepted standard for computer forensic, the concerned organizations have developed their own codes of ethics to maintain reliability to their members. Now, next is the organizations with code of ethics. So no single organization offers a definite code of ethics for forensic examiner. कोई एक single organization नहीं है जो definite code of ethics provide करती हो. There are number of organizations that offer definite code of ethics. So to form their ethical standard, the organization looks at the standard of other organizations. So the ethical guidelines of organizations can have great impact on expert testimony. So the first organization is that International Society of Forensic Computer Examiners, ISFCE. So this ISFCE's professional responsibility and code of ethics provides its members solid guidelines in how they should perform their duties as computer forensic analyst. So this International Society of Forensic Computer Examiner कुछ guidelines provide करते हैं कि उनके जो examiners है वो अपनी ड्यूटीज कैसे परफॉर्म करे एज ए कंप्यूटर फॉरेंसिक एनालिस्ट. जैसे हमने फर्स्ट लेक्चर में देखे थे, देयर आर 6 रूल्स फॉर डिजिटल फॉरेंसिक एग्जामिनर्स. सो ड्यूरिंग इन्वेस्टिगेशन उनको वो 6 रूल्स फॉलो करने होते हैं. लाइकवाइज ISFC भी कुछ गाइडलाइंस प्रोवाइड करता है जिसे उनके एग्जामिनर्स को फॉलो करना होता है ड्यूरिंग कंप्यूटर फॉरेंसिक एनालिस्ट. So as a responsible investigator, computer forensic analyst must adhere to the guidelines that particular instructions on how they should maintain their professional standing. So during the investigation, during performing their duty, they also have to maintain their high behavior standard and their high ethics. Then next one is there are some instructions in ISFC's codes of ethics that includes the first instruction. जैसे कि मैंने आपको कहा था कि कुछ guidelines provide किए जाते हैं digital forensic examiner को. So these guidelines are as, the first one is that in all forensic examinations, the investigator should maintain the greatest objectivity and present accurate findings. So during forensic examinations उनको greatest objectivity maintain करनी होती है और उनके जो findings होते हैं, जो भी उनके फाइंडिंग्स होते हैं रिगार्डिंग डिजिटल एविडेंस वो एक्यूरेट होने चाहिए. Then second, all matters should be testified to truthfully before the court. जो भी मैटर्स और जो भी फाइंडिंग्स हमें मिलते हैं ड्यूरिंग एग्जामिनेशन, कोर्ट के सामने प्रेजेंट करने से पहले वो प्रॉपरली टेस्टिफाइड होने चाहिए, प्रॉपरली वेरीफाइड होने चाहिए. Then the examiner should not take any action that will appear to be a conflict of interest later on. जो कुछ भी हम प्रेजेंट करते हैं, जो कुछ भी हमारे फाइंडिंग्स होते हैं, उसमें कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए. Then examination must be based on well established and validated principle. That means examiner must possess high behavior standards. Then the examiner is forbidden to reveal any confidential information without the client's permission or a court order. जो कुछ भी फाइंडिंग्स होते हैं, जो कुछ भी डिजिटल एविडेंसेस हमें मिलते हैं, एग्जामिनर ने वो किसी को भी रिवील नहीं करने चाहिए, ओपन नहीं करने चाहिए, उसको कॉन्फिडेंशियल रखना चाहिए without the client's permission or without the court order. Then the investigator is not allowed to misrepresent credentials or associated membership. Also वो कुछ भी misrepresent नहीं कर सकता, उसमें कुछ भी modifications नहीं कर सकता है, जो कुछ भी है वो as it is court को present करने हैं. Then the next organization is the High Crime Investigation Association, HTCIA. Now, for its members, the HTCIA provides ethical standards, namely as its codes of ethics of professional standard conducts. Likewise, ISFCE, High Technology Crime Investigation Association, also provides some guidelines, also provides some rules for their examiners. So the core principles, some rules related to HTCIA includes that HTCIA members use specialized techniques and advanced technologies to uncover the truth so as to allow wrongful conviction. It means that जो एग्जामिनर्स होते हैं उन्होंने स्पेशलाइज्ड टूल्स एंड एडवांस टेक्निक्स यूज करने चाहिए टू अनकवर द ट्रूथ. जो कुछ भी हमें एग्जामाइन करना है, जो कुछ भी हमें फाइंडिंग्स करने हैं, उसके लिए स्पेशलाइज्ड टेक्निक्स एंड टूल्स यूज करने चाहिए एज टू अवॉइड रॉन्गफुल कन्विक्शन. इट मीन्स दैट अगर उसमें कुछ भी डिफॉल्ट होता है, कुछ भी गलत होता है, तो हम रॉन्ग पर्सन को कन्विक्ट कर सकते हैं, किसी रॉन्ग पर्सन को पनिश कर सकते हैं. सो to avoid that wrongful conviction, there must be use of specialized techniques and advanced technologies. Then the second principle is that HTCIA values its members' integrity and the truth they reveal through computer forensic based practices involving effective techniques used to collect digital evidences. It is very important to maintain the integrity of digital evidences. Integrity means that जो भी digital evidences हमें मिलते हैं वो as it is कोर्ट के सामने प्रेजेंट होने चाहिए, उसमें कुछ भी मॉडिफिकेशंस नहीं होना चाहिए. इट मीन्स दैट इंटीग्रिटी. सो इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू अचीव द इंटीग्रिटी. And to achieve that integrity, there must be involvement of effective techniques which are used to collect digital evidences, because digital evidences बहुत delicate होते हैं और उनको collect करने के लिए कुछ effective technologies use करने चाहिए. Then after that, the next one is the American Bar Association. So the third organization is American Bar Association. In short, it is called as ABA. So in computer forensic cases, the attorneys hire the forensic examiners. जैसे कि हमने यहाँ पे देखा था, US Attorney's Office appoint at least one assistant US attorney who is expert in the computer related crimes and investigation. Likewise, here also in computer forensic cases, the attorneys hire the forensic examiners. So therefore, the forensic examiners must be aware of the attorney's basic rules of professional conduct. So जो कोई भी हम assistant hire करते हैं, he must be aware of the some basic rules of professional conduct. Although the ABA is not a licensing body, it provides basis of the course of state licensing bodies. So the United States consists of 50 states and each state is responsible for licensing its attorney. So ABA has two relevant documents. First one is the Model Code of Professional Responsibility, and the second one is the Model Rules of Professional Conduct. So the ABS codes are pretty lengthy, so only the relevant sections are we are going to discuss here. So both the model code and model rules apply restraint to the fees that expert can receive for rendering services to the attorney. That means that वो attorney से कोई other fee demand नहीं कर सकते for rendering services to the attorney. Then model code disallow contingency fees to expert. Instead, they may receive only a reasonable payment for the professional service they render. जो कोई भी प्रोफेशनल सर्विस वो रेंडर करते हैं उसके लिए उन्हें एक फिक्स रिजनेबल पेमेंट दिया जाता है, वो कोई अदर फीस की डिमांड नहीं कर सकते. And expert can receive fees for the preparation and testimony in court, unlike other witnesses who can be reimbursed only for their expenses. And the next is that unlike the attorney, the expert witness should not be loyal to his or her client. The expert must not become the client's advocate and must remain independent. अगर जो expert witness है वो loyal नहीं है to his or her client, then वो client advocate नहीं हो सकता है and he must remain independent. The expert must offer an accurate and unbiased opinion on the relevant issues instead of trying to influence the jury towards a particular point of view. Whether it is an expert opinion or whether it is a third person opinion or technical or scientific expert, उनका जो opinion रहता है वो accurate होना चाहिए और unbalanced होना चाहिए. That means it is free from undue influence. Okay, so it must be unbiased opinion instead of trying to influence the jury towards a particular point of view.